The Grand Hall of Concord, nestled within the ancient crystalline city of Veltaraxis, shimmered with anticipation. Representatives from over 80 starfaring civilizations gathered beneath its vast dome, where gravity was tailored to accommodate every species present. Banners floated weightlessly, glowing with shifting light signatures, each symbol a testament to peace forged through hard-won negotiations. This year's summit was supposed to be historic, because, for the first time in galactic history, humanity had been invited. The moment the announcement had been made, reactions varied wildly. Some ambassadors laughed, calling humans primitive backworlders barely out of their gravity wells. Others were grim, recalling the scattered but unnerving reports that had drifted in from fringe systems. Human salvage crews turning war zones into salvage yards in hours, rumors of pirates refusing to raid human vessels, and the infamous terraforming incident on Zin-3-4 that turned a lifeless planet habitable in under a month, somehow using nuclear detonations and mushrooms. Still, the humans had never once asked for a seat at the table. They'd never sent emissaries or pleaded for recognition. They expanded, quietly, confidently, and always alone. So when the humans responded with a simple, acknowledged delegation en route, many of the council members felt a strange chill. Not fear exactly, just uncertainty. The kind predators feel when they spot something that doesn't fit into any known category. Now, with less than 20 standard hours remaining before the opening ceremony, the council's highest members were gathered behind closed doors, arguing. They cannot just show up without diplomatic context, hissed Veltras, a being of undulating vapor encased in a photosynthetic exosuit. They've never participated in peace treaties, trade alliances, or shared their cultural codex. They are unknown, which is exactly why they should be here, countered Chancellor Uraneth of the Telari Hive, whose sleek chiton shimmered in the hall's ambient light. We've extended the branch. If they grasp it, we may avoid future misunderstandings. We don't even know what they eat, croaked Grand Speaker Gent from the amphibian worlds. What if they try to consume a delegate? A long silence followed. No one laughed. No one could say, with certainty, that it wasn't possible. Hashtag across the void. Out past the rim of the known galaxy, a singular vessel cruised through hyperspace. It bore no ornamentation, no ceremonial colors. Just matte black plating, streaked with hull identifiers in a language none of the other races could yet decipher. UEV Aegis-class diplomatic carrier. Call sign, honor-bound. Destination, Veltaraxis Peace Summit. Inside, the delegation sat in calm, silent readiness. Colonel Ava Rourke, mission commander, reviewed her data slate. No smiles. No small talk unless initiated. Follow the protocol brief. Remember, we are here to listen, observe, and not cause a panic. Beside her, the diplomatic envoy, Ambassador Darius Lane, smiled humorlessly. I suspect that's already out of our hands. Let's keep our helmets on until instructed otherwise, Rourke added. Some of these species respond poorly to facial expressions. Last thing we want is someone interpreting a smirk as a war declaration. Private Nada raised a brow. Didn't that happen once? Rourke sighed. Yes, it did. On Merovan Prime. Never forget the incident report. Diplomatic incident caused by raised eyebrows. Hashtag Veltaraxis. Arrival. When the human ship arrived, it didn't follow the standard approach vector. It didn't spiral in with musical harmonics or flash friendly broadcast signals like every other vessel. Instead, it stopped abruptly outside orbit, then descended directly in a straight line. No flourish. No warning. Just motion, precise, silent, confident. The ship touched down outside the Grand Hall's primary platform. A subtle tremor pulsed through the crystalline floor as its landing struts settled. The gathered crowd fell quiet. Out of the ship came 8 figures. Human. Armored. Their suits were sleek, full body, and matte black with no visible insignia save for a small silver emblem on the chest. A planet encircled by thorns. They walked in perfect unison. No words. No gestures. Their helmets were smooth and featureless, save for a narrow blue slit of light across each visor. If they blinked or looked around, no one could tell. The first to speak was Varn Keth, an elder of the Trakari, who stepped forward with a gesture of welcome, 7 limbs outstretched, bioluminescence signaling peace. The lead human stopped exactly 3 meters away. Greetings, the voice echoed from the helmet. Calm, low, perfectly translated. We are the delegation from Earth. We are here to observe and participate in peace talks, as invited. The voice had no accent, no identifiable emotion, just precision. A group of delegates stepped back, subtly, unconsciously. Something about the tone felt rehearsed, but not like a speech, more like a warning. Hashtag, 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 the whisper spreads. By the time the humans were escorted into the hall and given their seats, deliberately placed near the center to show neutrality, the other delegations were already exchanging quiet messages. They didn't blink during the walk. Are they all military? Their armor isn't decorative, it's tactical. Do they even need translators? What are they hiding behind those helmets? Whispers turned to tension, and tension turned to fear. The humans had said nothing wrong. They'd followed every instruction, shown no weapons, made no aggressive moves. Yet already, the peace summit had changed. One delegate summed it up in a single message to their homeworld. They are calm, too calm, like a predator that already knows it's at the top of the food chain. The delegates of the galaxy had seen many things. War, peace, betrayals, reconciliations, but never, never had they seen a diplomatic arrival that felt like a silent declaration of dominance. The human vessel, the _honor-bound _ didn't emit celebratory signals or open with an exchange of cultural pleasantries. It didn't glide into dock with flair or ceremonial lights. It descended like a weapon returning to its holster. Even before the humans stepped out, the sheer design of the ship unsettled the gathering. There were no windows, no visible weapons, no paint, just a sleek, black mass of angular plating and hidden systems, shaped like something designed to punch through atmospheres in battles, not to host dignitaries. And when the boarding ramp extended, it didn't slide. It dropped, with a metallic thud, the kind of sound you only heard before something bad happened. Hashtag, 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 a misunderstood gesture. Protocol Officer Vinix of the Rulitha conglomerate stepped forward bravely, holding the ceremonial sphere of welcome, a universal symbol of peaceful intent, glowing with shifting lights. He offered it with both arms extended, his long insectoid fingers trembling slightly. The lead human approached. The entire room held its breath. Would the human accept it? Would they understand? The human paused, scanned the object, then spoke. Unknown energy pattern. Possibly a threat. Scanning. A second human, clearly military, raised a device and aimed it directly at the sphere. A beam of invisible light swept over it. The hall gasped. A security drone activated somewhere. An ambassador fainted. Then the human nodded and said simply, harmless. Accepted. He took the sphere, nodded once, and passed it, without ceremony, to another delegate behind him. The room stayed frozen. To the humans, the act was logical, efficient, careful. To the rest of the galaxy, it was terrifying. They had just watched a potential gift get treated like a biohazard, scanned like contraband, and handed off like a piece of luggage. Hashtag, 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 their presence changed the atmosphere. Once seated inside the grand hall, the humans remained completely still. No fidgeting, no whispers, no tapping, just eyes, hidden behind mirrored visors, scanning. Every move seemed deliberate, every breath measured. They didn't slouch. They didn't lean in. They sat like soldiers at attention, quiet, ready. It didn't take long for the alien delegates to start adjusting their own posture, sitting straighter, talking quieter, even shifting their body language to seem less confrontational. Even the ambient lighting was adjusted. Several species found the presence of the black-clad humans triggering defensive instincts. Too many shadows. Too many unknowns. The illumination was subtly raised to reduce anxiety. Not once did the humans complain. Not once did they react. They didn't need to. Hashtag, 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 private channels lit up. Is this intimidation? They haven't said a word in an hour. I think their armor is suppressing bioreadings. Are they alive? Who the hell sends armed personnel to a peace meeting? Have you seen the one on the left? I think he has a targeting lens embedded in his faceplate. Paranoia was spreading fast. Some delegates began quietly suggesting recess. Others asked for additional guards. Ambassador Mzel of the Caldrani broke protocol and sent a direct message to the human delegation. With due respect, your arrival has caused significant discomfort. Is this intentional? The reply was almost instant. Understood. We will modulate surface presence, reassigning 2 units to the vessel. Remaining team is non-hostile. Security posture, passive. Objective, peace. The phrasing, while technically reassuring, didn't help. They didn't say they weren't dangerous. They just said they were currently not a threat. ####, all eyes on humanity. During the opening statements, each species took turns speaking. Flowery language, historical references, symbolic gestures of harmony. When it came time for humanity, all eyes turned to their representative. Ambassador Darius Lane stood up, tall, still in full armor, helmet removed now to reveal a lined, unreadable face. He didn't bow, didn't smile, just spoke. We come in response to your invitation. We thank you for the opportunity. Humanity is new to your table, but not new to conflict, survival, or diplomacy. We offer ears to listen, voices to share, and hands to help, should help be needed. We do not seek power, only understanding. That said, if peace is broken, know that Earth responds thoroughly. Silence. A chilling silence. Even translated, the human's tone carried weight. It wasn't a threat, but it wasn't not a threat either. ###, an unforgettable arrival. By the end of the first day, the humans hadn't drawn weapons, shouted, or broken any rules. Yet already, they had become the most whispered about delegation at the summit. Why? Because they didn't try to intimidate. They didn't need to impress. They simply acted like they belonged, even though they were new. And that quiet confidence, that casual readiness, was far more unnerving than any open aggression. The second day of the summit began with an eerie hush. Delegates moved quietly, glancing toward the human delegation more than necessary. Never directly, always sideways, like prey trying not to draw attention to a predator. The humans hadn't changed their posture. Still upright, still still. No fidgeting, no conversation among themselves. Not even a datapad in hand. They just watched, waited, and when the council called upon them to speak, the hall braced itself. They expected a grand speech. Poetry, cultural metaphors, diplomacy. What they got was a tactical briefing. ###, a new kind of language. Ambassador Darius Lane rose. He held no script, no ceremonial robes or ancestral icons. Just his presence, quiet, poised, and controlled. He looked across the gathered species and began. We have reviewed the charter of this summit. Sections 3 through 12 are clear regarding shared resource protocols, sector conflict prevention, and trade stability. We find these logical and acceptable. However, he continued, voice smooth and steady. Clause 14.7 lacks enforceable consequence. In our experience, peace without enforcement is not peace. It's just delay. A gasp. Clause 14.7 was sacred. It emphasized the spirit of mutual trust over the letter of the law. Lane didn't care. Humanity believes in peace. But peace without strength is fantasy. We propose amendments. Suddenly, displays lit up. Charts, simulations, statistical models, ***. The humans had done their homework. They displayed 5 conflict scenarios from the last 50 years where summits failed to prevent war. In each, Lane calmly pointed out where stronger enforcement, quicker intervention, or deterrent policies might have prevented bloodshed. No one interrupted. Not because they agreed, but because they were afraid to. ###, the translator's glitch. At one point, Lane described the human concept of peacekeeping through strength. The translator, unfamiliar with human military phrasing, initially rendered the word as peace by dominance. Lane paused, corrected it himself, **** in over 6 galactic dialects. Fluently, ****, correction, peace through deterrence, ***, not dominance. If we desired dominance, we would not have asked to sit at your table. The subtle rebuke landed like a hammer. Lane's gaze swept the room. We are not here to conquer. If we were, you'd already know. No one could tell if it was a warning, a joke, or both. ###, reactions across the hall. The Rilvani delegation withdrew into private quarters. The Korik refused to take their speaking turn. The amphibian worlds requested a quiet meditation chamber, 4. Emotional processing. Meanwhile, smaller civilizations, ones long ignored or brushed aside, whispered, "They speak like we matter. They're not arrogant, just efficient. They see things others don't." Some even started forwarding requests to speak privately with the humans. Because while the council elders were terrified, the underdogs saw potential. Hashtag, they made no enemies. Yet everyone was wary. In the following hours, the hall was tense. More than a few delegates shifted their seating. Others altered their schedules to avoid crossing paths with the human team in corridors. And not once did a human raise their voice, or gesture wildly, or even appear bothered. They walked with precise movements, sat without slouching, monitored without staring, like officers evaluating a battlefield. One observer noted. They weren't disrespectful. They were disciplined. Too disciplined. And discipline that deep only comes from places few civilizations want to imagine. Hashtag behind the scenes. Panic or planning? In the council's private chambers, several leaders gathered urgently. "Did you see how he spoke to the Zentai matriarch?" hissed one. "No honorifics. No apologies. Just a suggestion, and she obeyed," replied another. "He wasn't asking permission. He was giving orders in the form of diplomacy." "They don't posture," muttered an elder. "They just exist. And that's what scares me." By now, most understood the truth. Humanity wasn't trying to dominate the room. They were just being themselves. And that realization was what truly unsettled the galaxy. Day 3 of the summit. A routine session. An envoy from the Delvax Commonwealth, frail, amphibious, and especially vulnerable to dry environments, began coughing violently during a session. Medic drones fluttered nervously. One hovered beside the Delvax delegate, trying to identify the cause. No immediate danger, just a severe dehydration reaction. No one moved. Not the insectoids. Not the feathered. Not even the silicon-bodied emissaries. Except the humans. Corpsman Elias Ward, a field medic in light armor, stood up without a word. No fanfare. No permission asked. He approached the coughing delegate, scanned him with a human medkit, and administered a vial of hydration fluid adapted on the spot. "Inhalation safe. Stabilizing electrolyte levels," he muttered. The delegate blinked, visibly stunned, then coughed once more and stopped. Breathing returned to normal. The hall watched in silence. Ward nodded, stepped back, and returned to his seat. Hashtag that should have been applauded. It wasn't. The Delvax delegate stammered out a thanks, his voice soft. But no one clapped. No one cheered. Because the medic's movements, the way he scanned, adjusted, and acted with unshakable calm, it reminded them of something they'd seen before. Not doctors. Combat medics. He moved like someone used to being shot at. Someone who patched up allies in the middle of chaos. And that meant, if this was their medical personnel, what did their soldiers look like? Hashtag the footage that spread like fire. Unknown to the humans, several security drones recorded the incident. Within hours, the footage leaked through private channels and encrypted forums. Human reacts to bio-crisis in 2.7 seconds. No consultation. Watch this human medic deploy custom antidote with zero hesitation. Is that a combat triage sequence? In a peace chamber? But what truly shocked everyone wasn't the speed. It was the efficiency, the confidence, and most terrifying of all, the lack of fear. This wasn't arrogance. This was muscle memory, a kind of readiness no one else at the summit had. Hashtag another unnerving detail. Later that day, a minor quake shook the summit's lower levels, likely a tectonic shift, no threat to the conference chambers. Delegates flinched. Some ducked. A few shrieked. The humans? They stood up. Immediately. Calmly. No panic. Just reflex. Lane spoke to his group quietly. Structural scan. Establish rally point. Confirm egress vectors. It was the tone of a platoon leader. The other delegates heard it, some via translators, others by sheer context. These weren't diplomats in armor. They were soldiers playing diplomat. And once again, that terrified people more than any weapon could. Hashtag, even their kindness was terrifying. When the quake passed and normalcy returned, several smaller delegations approached the humans to offer thanks or ask questions. 1. A timid species from the Fog Nebula, asked why humans were so calm. Corpsman Ward replied with a small smile. We train in worse. This is peace. We like peace. That line spread across the summit like wildfire. Asterisk, we train in worse. This is peace. Asterisk. It wasn't a boast. It was a fact. And facts like that changed how civilizations viewed Earth. Hashtag uneasy alliances begin to form. Behind closed doors, a few species, previously marginalized, began whispering among themselves. We've always relied on the core worlds for safety, but they only act when it benefits them. Humans don't posture. They just do. Maybe they're what the galaxy needs. The core worlds noticed, and they did not like it, because fear had begun to shift, asterisk from humans to the idea that they might start leading, asterisk. And they wouldn't do it with speeches. They'd do it with actions. The final day of the summit was intended for ceremonial endorsements. No real decisions, just symbolic unity. But the humans had other plans. As the hall buzzed with closing speeches and traditional chants, Ambassador Lane calmly stood, motioned for the floor, and was granted it. He didn't give a speech. He presented a treaty draft. Title: Mutual Crisis Response and Peace Enforcement Initiative. It proposed joint rapid response task forces, shared intelligence networks, coordinated disaster relief backed by enforceable accountability. It wasn't an empire. It was a shield, one built through strength, not sentiment. And the humans offered to fund it, train it, let it, if the galaxy agreed. Hashtag the room froze. For 10 seconds, no one spoke. Then all at once, questions, protests, theories. Why would humans want this responsibility? Is this their attempt at control? They'll use this to dominate trade routes. Or maybe they're afraid of something. But through the noise, others leaned forward, listened, considered, and one small voice, barely heard, asked, or maybe they just don't want to watch the galaxy burn like their own history did. Hashtag the vote that wasn't supposed to happen. The core delegates motioned to delay any vote. But the smaller civilizations, tired of being collateral damage in greater games, pushed back. And so, for the first time in summit history, an unscheduled vote was held. The results stunned everyone. 64% in favor. Not a supermajority, but a majority nonetheless. The humans didn't cheer. They didn't gloat. They simply nodded, as if everything was proceeding as expected. Hashtag the final message. As the summit came to a close and delegations prepared to leave, Lane gave a brief statement. It was recorded, broadcast, and translated in real time. We didn't come here to lead, but we'll never run from responsibility either. Peace is earned, and sometimes it must be protected. Asterisk by those willing to bear the weight. Asterisk. We are humans. We do not frighten easily, but we understand why you might. He paused, gaze steady. We will be here, whether invited or not, because peace matters more than protocol. And with that, the human delegation exited the hall. Hashtag epilogue. The ripples spread. In the weeks that followed, over a dozen species signed on to the new human-led initiative. Recruitment requests poured into Earth's diplomatic corps. Merchants rerouted trade lines near human sectors for safety. Even former adversaries sent feelers, unsure whether to challenge or cooperate. Because now, humans weren't just part of the galactic stage. They were reshaping the stage itself, not by conquest, not by threat, but by showing what readiness, resolve, and silent strength really looked like. And the galaxy would never forget the day peace was negotiated by soldiers who didn't raise a weapon. They just stood tall, and everyone else backed down.